Hello, everyone. Storm 101 here. Today we'll be having a recap over the last couple of days where we had a couple severe weather events for parts of the Midwest into parts of the Ohio Valley. We're also going to be talking about more severe weather that's currently impacting parts of northern Michigan and also the parts of eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. More severe weather could be on the way tomorrow and possibly into Sunday over parts of the Northeast. We also got something else going on that you guys may not expect this time of year, and that is a winter storm that's currently ongoing over parts of Colorado and Wyoming as well. Before we get started with this video, if you guys like weather-related content, you can subscribe to my channel. We do this stuff here all the time on this channel. Plus, we may have another update or two on some of these setups over the next day or two. So definitely stay tuned for more updates as well. We're going to get started with the watch warning advisory display. There's some activity out there, and one of the bigger stories today is there is a winter storm going over parts of Colorado and Wyoming where, excuse me, again, um, we have winter storm warnings over parts of Colorado and Wyoming in some places. I mean, I believe this day yesterday that we're having temperatures in the 70s in low 80s, and now they're experiencing a big time winter storm over there. It also comes along with a hard freeze in some places as well. We also got severe weather ongoing in northern Michigan, where we also have a tornadic supercell ongoing at the time of making this video. There's also some severe weather ongoing over parts of eastern Pennsylvania and the parts of New Jersey that is associated with a Mexico convective vortex, which we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But let's talk about what's been happening over the past couple of days, and we're going to start back on the 18th of May, which was back on Wednesday. We had three different areas of severe weather. We had one area over parts of Minnesota into northern Wisconsin, mostly a wind and hail event. Really, all of these areas have seen wind and hail, but probably one of the more significant ones was in the parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, and even the parts of the Panhandle of Texas, where we had some significant wind and one significant hailstorm out there. And there was also decent amount of severe weather over parts of Kentucky as well. We also had some tornado warnings down there as well. So really, the 18th overall was an active day, but I got to see something very interesting in my own backyard on the day on the 18th. And as we take a look at a couple of these pictures, this is what's known as a wall cloud. This is a supercell that rolled through my area. You see, you got this huge lowering. I mean, this wall cloud was massive. And back here, that is your inflow tail flowing into this wall cloud and generally into the storm as well. Now, luckily, it did not produce a tornado or anything, but it had a pretty decent circulation with it as well. And here's another picture of that massive inflow tail just going into the storm out there as well. So that was a really cool experience I got to see back on the 18th. And this is what the supercell looked like at the time. You can see here, here's your little hook echo right there as well. So definitely some very interesting stuff back on the 18th. Now let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday was a more significant day here in two different areas. Some of these areas saw some severe weather back on the 18th. So yesterday, which is the 19th, we had some significant severe weather over parts of Minnesota and parts of Wisconsin. That includes a tornado that did occur, and I believe in the southwestern part of Wisconsin here, along with some significant hail reports. But probably one of the bigger stories was over parts anywhere from eastern Missouri into the lower Ohio Valley. And man, here in the lower Ohio Valley, we had some big time hailstorms. Several significant hail reports did come out of Kentucky, out some of these supercells that did occur out there as well, which you can see here for the total storm reports that we had from yesterday. Some of these numbers could still go up over the next day or two. 8 tornadoes, 117 wind reports, and 106 hail reports. 20 of those were significant out there as well. And for myself, I got hit by one of those hailstorms. It was actually my first hailstorm, and boy, oh boy, did it come in a big way. So from last night, we had a big time hailstorm roll through my house, and we had hail anywhere from golf balls to baseball-sized hail. And then again, this is the first time I actually personally experienced a hailstorm. And yeah, these hailstones are huge. We had hailstones that were close to 3 inches in diameter. So it was definitely very impressive here. We're very fortunate it did not do a whole lot of damage on our property. However, one of the vehicles that was outside, which we didn't have anywhere else to put it, because both of our garages were full, with other vehicles and everything. So unfortunately, one of our vehicles that was staying out there did get a good beating. Now, some good news is that none of the windshields or anything got blown out, but it definitely had some little dents on the vehicle as well. And also, on my weather station in the backyard, the spoons that goes on the weather anemometer also got destroyed by hail as well, so I had to get a new one as well. But regardless, here it was certainly a significant event, and I did post a little video on my YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't seen that video yet, I'll put the link in the pinned comment down below so you guys can see that video as well. Now, it does not go as far as showing the 3-inch diameter hail. The biggest hailstone I showed in that video was 2 inches diameter. Even that by itself is very large. That's significant hail territory. So, because I found these hailstones after the video as well, after kind of looking a little bit more into the backyard as well. So, sorry, quite a significant event for myself here. So yeah, it's definitely been crazy here, just behind the scenes, being off from YouTube for a couple of days as well. So definitely some crazy stuff. Let's check out the SPC Outlook here for today. We got tiny, a tiny enhanced risk for eastern Pennsylvania and the parts of New Jersey. And that actually includes places like Philadelphia, Allentown, Trenton, Camden, and also Belf, Bethlehem, something like that. I definitely did not pronounce that right, so I apologize for that. So a very tiny enhanced risk out there. The severe weather risk overall is not going to last very long up there, but probably one of the bigger stories today will be up in northern Michigan, which currently actually have a tornadic supercell ongoing up there. Here's the tornado probabilities. There's 5% out there. Damage winds will be possible for some of these sorts, but there's also a possibility for some significant hail in the northern part of Michigan as well. Day 2, which is tomorrow, this is going to be much more widespread. You got a slight crest that stretches from the Canadian border of Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont that extends all the way down through parts of the Ohio Valley, eventually getting back down to parts of the Texarkana region, getting close to the Mexican border. So this is going to be a cold front type of setup here. You're going to have a cold front that'll be moving to the southeast. It'll be a strong cold front too, and it's going to form scattered to numerous thunderstorms, and some of those can be strong to severe out there. Now, one of the things on this for tomorrow's setup here is that there's not going to be a whole lot of wind shear. There is a 2% tornado risk. It is very low, but it's not zero. And that's partially due to the weak wind shear values. But there will be a lot of instability, and that could be favorable for wind and also some large hail out there as well. And on day 3, which is Sunday, got a slight risk for severe weather over parts of the New England states. We'll talk about the current environment. So 2 different areas we're watching here for today. We're watching northern Michigan, and the other one's going to be in eastern Pennsylvania into parts of New Jersey. And like I said earlier in the video, the severe weather risk in the parts of Pennsylvania and New Jersey is not going to last very long. Just get the fact, if you just look by the surface-based CAPE, the values are not very impressive here for where these storms are going. And this is part of what's known as a mesoscale convective vortex. And that's basically a little span of low pressure, and it's been spawning these thunderstorms out ahead of the MCV over the last couple days. And I believe this mesoscale convective vortex formed all the way back in the parts of Kansas and or Oklahoma. Now, I know it was definitely all the way back to Missouri, but I'm not sure if it was all the way back in the parts of Oklahoma or Kansas. But regardless, this has been a very long-lived mesoscale convective vortex. And it's also brought a lot of severe weather, especially yesterday in the parts of Missouri, Illinois, and the parts of Indiana as well. It definitely brought a lot of severe weather for some of those areas as well. Another area we're focusing on would be northern Michigan, where we do have a lot of instability. Surface-based cave values could be as high as 3,000 joules per kilogram in some of those areas, which is quite high for some of those areas up there. Mixar Cape, which could help with the hail risk, we got values up as high as 2,000, which could be favorable for some pretty large hail up there too. And there's also quite a bit of wind shear going on up there too. And that's going to help increase the potential for tornadoes, including supercells. Storm velocity values are also pretty elevated. The supercell composite up as high as a 16 up there, which is quite high. And then you check out the significant tornado parameters, it's up as high as a 3 in the parts of northern Michigan. So you got a pretty good combination of instability and wind shear, which could help really increase that tornado risk, which we do have a tornadic supercell ongoing in northern Michigan. And I think more is going to form, one or two more at least will form later today. So if you live in northern Michigan, definitely stay weather aware over the next couple hours because the conditions could be favorable for stuff of that nature. Now, I don't think the HER model is going to handle this very well because you can tell here for the HER model later this evening, a lot of this stuff here is actually pretty disorganized. And honestly, I highly doubt that's going to be the case. I think we are going to see more organized storms given by the fact that we have a lot of instability out there as well. So regardless here, I do think there is going to be decent amount of severe weather in northern Michigan for the rest of the evening. Some of it can be significant as well, given by those very elevated instability values, which could lead to very large hail up there as well. So then again, if you do live in northern Michigan, definitely have to stay weather aware later today. Let's go ahead and talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be happening over a large area. We're going to try to get all the areas in here in one picture, so we have to kind of check out the entire United States for this one, just given the fact of how large the area is for severe weather. So as we do get to, let's say here about Saturday, you notice here from the HER model, it's been showing us for the last couple runs. It's got a pretty decent cluster of thunderstorms that roll through parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, possibly into parts of Missouri. This will continue to move to the east, possibly a little northeast as the day goes on, but eventually it's going to slowly die down as it continues to move off to the east because really it's about further to the east as you go. There's going to be more of a cap that's going to be in place, and there's also not going to be a whole lot of wind shear. But that's not all. You'll notice here thunderstorms really begin to fire up in the parts of Texas, Arkansas, possibly in the parts of northern Mississippi. There's more storms that form up in the parts of the Ohio Valley, into kind of along the Canadian border in the northeast as well. So there's going to be a lot of thunderstorm activity, but how much instability wind shear could we see out there? Now, we know there's going to be a lot of instability out there, but wind shear is kind of one of the bigger questions because let me show you guys the significant tornado parameters. Check this out. For most of the area that could experience severe weather tomorrow, the significant tornado parameter values for most areas is slim to none. So really, the chances for tornadoes in these risk areas is going to be very low. However, there are a couple hot spots there. One of those is in the parts of Arkansas, where you get a couple of these cluster thunderstorms that kind of develop, which kind of helps bring up those wind shear values a little bit. And it does lead to some pretty high significant tornado parameter values, which I think it's a little bit aggressive with that. But even checking out some of these soundings in some of these areas in here, there is some contamination on some of these soundings here, but there's a decent amount of instability and wind shear out there, and there's also a decent hodograph that's in place. Downdraft cape would be elevated. That's going to be one of the bigger things when it comes to damage to winds, and you also got elevated mid-level lap rates will also help increase that hail threat as well. So if this sounding were to be correct, and that's a big if, because wind shear values will still be quite questionable. If we kind of go back to the SPC Outlook for a little bit, for day 2, and check out the tornado risk. You notice the sounding that we're checking out is actually outside the 2% tornado risk. So it's a little bit interesting of how the Herbal is kind of showing this. So I'm a little bit skeptical about this outcome here from the Her model because usually with setups like these, the wind shear values are just very low. So I think it's a little bit aggressive here for this area here, but I do think regardless here, there's still low tornado risk, but really it's not. But really, it's not going to be a zero type of risk or anything. But regardless if there's a tornado risk or not, there's still going to be the potential for hail and damaged winds. You got a lot of instability in place, and also downdraft cape will be helping to increase that damage wind risk as well. So regardless if there's a tornado risk or not, there's going to be that potential for a large hail and damage winds. And then again, you can see here for most of the severe weather risk area, the significant tornado parameters is pretty much slim to none. So I don't think tornadoes will be a big issue tomorrow. I think when it hails could be some of our bigger problems here. If we go back to this other tab here and kind of move on to Sunday, and then the severe weather risk is more focused up at the parts in the northeast, where we do have the slight risk area. And you notice here with some of those leftover outflow boundaries from the day before, new storms do form up there. And if you check out the significant tornado parameters around the same time, you know what? There are actually some elevated numbers out there, especially over in the parts of Maine. So if we do try to get a sounding here, and I think some of this mountainous terrain can help with some of those wind shear values as well. But you actually do notice on the sounding here, the wind shear values are not very impressive here, which I think that's going to be pretty accurate up there. But I also do notice here there's a lot of instability in place. Surface base cape is 3100. And downdraft cape is pretty elevated too. Now, mid-level lap rates is not impressive. However, when it comes to low-level lap rates, they're pretty elevated, which is going to help increase the damage wind risk as well. So, really overall about the sounding here, there is some potential for some hail and damage winds. There could be a very low tornado risk out there, but it's not going to be a big risk. So, really over the next couple days here, I think a lot of these setups are not going to be significant. I think they're going to be general marginal to slight risk days here. I don't see this being a huge problem, but regardless of that, I will stay weather aware on both of these days as well because there is a chance that your area could get affected by severe weather as well. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about before we end the video is the ongoing winter storm in the parts of Colorado and Wyoming. Yeah, we don't talk about winter storms very often in late May. What you can see here from the Hermos perspective, in these blue colors, especially darker shades, that's snow. And you can see it covers a pretty decent area of Colorado, especially in the parts of the eastern part of Colorado. And you can see here, this is not a quick hit of snow. This actually sticks around for a pretty decent period of time, which also suggests some snow may stick around as far east as the parts of Kansas. And you can see here, finally by tomorrow afternoon, it should begin to calm down at that point. But check out these snowfall accumulations from the HER model. Now, I don't think we're going to see 3 feet of snow because temperatures yesterday were in the 70s or 80s. So the grounds are going to be very warm. Now, it all depends on how high your snowfall rates are going to be. If you're going to have very high snowfall rates, likely the heavy snowfall is going to overcome those warm ground temperatures. Now, if it were to be light snow for the entire period, you probably won't see much weight of accumulations. I think the best opportunity to see some of the highest snowfall totals will be in those higher elevations where it's typically cooler around this time of year. So I think it's going to be a little bit easier to get snowfall accumulations up there. But in the lower elevations, I think we could see maybe as high as maybe somewhere between, let's say, about around 7 or 8 inches possible in some of the lower elevations, but it's not going to be very widespread here. I think the more widespread amounts are probably going to be 2 to 4 in the lower elevations. But in the higher elevations, you could be talking about anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of snow in the higher elevations. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of snow for some people, but not everybody's going to see that much snow. Keep in mind of that. But regardless here, there's going to be quite a bit of snow that's going to impact over parts of Colorado. And And let's also check out the high-res NAM here. You can see here there's some similarities here from the high-res NAM as well. But anyways, guys, this is all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, put the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and have a good day.